Hey guys, Lori here, pharmacist. So I wanted to go over an article that I came across. This is an article that really I hope healthcare professionals watch this video because this is a prime example of what your healthcare professional, pharmacists, doctors, nurses, etc. are looking at and basing what they tell you to do for your health on. This is an article out of Infectious Disease Advisor. The good doctor sent me an article about the flu shot from this website, and so I signed up for their emails. Now they're emailing me everything under the sun, which I can tell you is kind of annoying, but this one caught my eye. The title is Prevalence of Oral HPV Infection Declines in Unvaccinated Individuals. Now, if you're a person who questions the safety and the need for the HPV vaccine and whether it even prevents cancer, which we'll remember it's never been proven to. It's only been proven to reduce the virus that potentially could cause cancer, which occurs in very few people anyway, male and female. If you're a person that questions that, the title of this article sounds on the surface good. If you don't question it, you think, wow, how could this be good? But when you keep reading, it says oral HPV prevalence has decreased in unvaccinated men, possibly as a result of herd protection. And that's when I was like, whoa, full stop. Let's see what they're saying in this thing. And why is this relevant? Because we know that one of the things that the CDC tells you as far as vaccines, that herd protection, herd immunity, community immunity is such a huge thing. And it has to be at something like 95%, which is why everybody's got to get the measles, the MMR, to keep the measles eradicated. And it's the anti-vaxxers, non-vaxxers, ex-vaxxers that are responsible for the measles outbreak this year that's still affected less than 1,500 people in a population of 329 million. But anyway, back to this. So I start reading this article because I'm wanting to see how a vaccine that is not even a 50% uptake by a long shot at this point in men or women, and that's problematic for them. They're trying to figure out, that's why they're printing and doing studies like this, because they're trying to come up with some way to say this vaccine is actually helping people. Let's see, this gets fun. Check this out. All right, so first of all, the study that was done here was done by NHANES, or NHANES, that's National Health and Nutrition Examination Survey. Well, when you check that bunch out, they're a subsidy of the CDC, which of course could be problematic. But anyway, so what they did was they examined, there was 13,676 participants in this study, male and female, and they're looking for 4 different strains of HPV that could potentially develop into cancer. The participants were 18 to 59 years old. Now we're going to round up for the sake of easier math and to give them the benefit of the doubt. So we're going to say that there were 14,000 participants, all right? Now we're looking at men and women. They don't give us the numbers. They don't tell us how many men or how many women. As we get into this, you'll see why they don't get specific with the numbers. They only use percentages. It gets pretty fun. So anyway, 14,000. So what we're going to do, we're going to just say 50% of those were the men, right? So we're dealing with 7,000 males. Now, they looked at these males, and what they were looking for was vaccine HPV. So they want to look at the percentage of males here that was not vaccinated. So the article goes on to say that, and this study was done from 2009 to 2016, 4 cycles, 2010 to 2011 to 2012, that kind of thing, 4 cycles. And what it says is that in that period of time, 0 to 5.8% of men got the HPV vaccine, were vaccinated. So less than 6% of these guys had actually gotten the vaccine. So we're looking at the unvaccinated, so we got to remove that 5.8. Well, we're going to round that number down. And we're going to normally 6% would be 420. 5.8 is like 403. So we're going to remove 400 of these guys. So that means we've got 6,600 males we're looking at that are unvaxxed to see how many had the HPV, and we found out there was a reduction. Now, this is when it really gets fun. Out of the 6,600 males, it tells you that 2.7% that vaccine type oral HPV prevalence declined from 2.7%, that's less than 3% of these males that actually had the problematic strains of HPV, any of these four, 2.7%. All right, if you do that math, it comes up to like 178.2 men actually found the strain in all these unvaccinated males. Now remember, we're going to vaccinate all of these guys and women too in order to capture this 178.2. We're going to round this number up to 180. So let's say they found the 2.8% was 180. Well, what they're saying in this article is that over the course of this study, this 2.7% dropped to 1.6%. All right, so if you do that math, 1.6% of 6,600 is 174. I mean, 104. I'm sorry, 104. Okay, guys. So what it really boils down to, using round numbers again, is they're claiming from a drop of approximately in 75 males out of, well, originally 7,000, but 6,675, they're claiming herd protection. Is that hilarious? Is that freaking hilarious? It's ridiculous. But you know, the thing about it is, your doctor, your healthcare professional, is not going to read, and they're not going to do the numbers. They're not going to do the math. They're just going to go with the takeaway. HPV was reduced in unvaccinated males, and it's herd protection, and then they're going to go on and they're going to share that with their colleagues, and they're going to tell you, and then you're going to make decisions about your kids. And what was the problem back again with the HPV? If you read the clinical trial, and I'm telling you, every healthcare professional, if you're going to recommend any vaccine, you need to put your nose in the clinical trial and do your homework and stop just going off of this kind of bullshit, because that's what it is. 75 males, really? And we're going to claim herd protection out of 6,600? And guess what? The 7,000 women, there was no change in them. It'd be interesting to know how much of a prevalence of even oral HPV showed up, because I bet you it was less than 1%, and that's what defunct the study. Because it literally says the reason that herd protection must not have occurred in women is because the prevalence is lower than in males. Well, it's pretty damn low in males too, people. 2.7%. And interestingly enough, if you do read the clinical trials, of the time that the surveillance of the participants after the trial, which was not very long, it was like a year or less for post-marketing, 2.7% came back with an autoimmune disease that they didn't have before the trial. All right? That puts them on pharma's feed bill, basically, paying into pharma for the rest of their lives. When they had a 2.7% chance of having oral HPV, and we don't even know it's going to develop into cancer. That's not saying that the 2.7, we're all going to get cancer. And another factor they brought in is smoking. Smoking is a big deal when it comes to your chance of developing into cancer, any kind of oral cancer, which we know that already, and all oral cancer is not HPV related. All right, guys, back to the, remember we got to have 95% vaccine coverage in order to keep the measles eradicated, and yet we can have, what percent is that? I should do that number really quick. What percent And, oh, and then they claim that because this number to this number, if you do the decrease, is like a 40% decrease. They call it 37. Of course, I don't have the actual numbers, but yeah, the end of the article says there was a 37% decrease. Again, 37% seems like a huge number, but what are we dealing with here? We're dealing with minuscule. So let's see, 75 divided by 6,600 times 100. All right, that is 1.1%. I don't know. You got to do your research, people. You got to read. That's healthcare professionals too. You've got to pay attention to what they're telling you because people's lives depend on what you tell them. And this is no laughing matter. You need to know your stuff inside and out. You need to know the reactions of these vaccines. You need to know what went on in the clinical trials. You need to know that there were not placebos used in vaccine clinical trials because they never used true placebos. Check it out. All right. Any questions? LoriLove77@gmail.com or PM me. Also, if you have any video requests you want me to do videos on, I'm up for that. I'm here for you guys. I'm a public servant. All right. Love you. Talk soon.